if you want, you can sharing that is better. You can share when initial section about you. Do that. Shall we start, sir? Muthu, sir?
Yeah, I think we can begin. Shall we?
Yes,
Yes.
yes.
Prakash?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, please.
Okay, yeah. So let me begin then. Right. Uh, Let me welcome all of you. Good afternoon. Today we are observing Earth Day, and it so happens that there is a certain program that is going on in IIT Dharwad, uh, and this today best fits both in terms of temperament, title, and the speaker. I would say to address us on this Earth Day. I am Mudkabi, currently visiting at IIT Dharwad. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this talk under the aegis of a series of talks called Trees, which stands for Talks on Renewables, Empowering Earth and Sustainability. And it is being brought to you by the COE of ACE, that is the uh, Global Center of Excellence in Affordable and Clean Energy, which has been established at IIT Dharwad recently. Before I introduce the speaker of the day, request Professor Dhiresh Patil to introduce the current activities of this center. Professor Patil? Uh, Professor Patil,
Thank you,
can
sir.
you?
Am I audible, sir?
Yes. Your presentation is not yet being seen. Can you just...
I'm sharing it again.
Yeah, yes, please.
there's some technical problem regarding the connection. Give me 1 minute, sir. Okay, so I think some issue I will present it little later. So let me introduce orally this center. This center is we call as Global Center of Excellence in Affordable and Clean Energy, GCOE ACE. We inaugurated this center in the month of January 2022, and this center is providing laboratory facilities for innovators and incubators who work in the area of affordable and clean energy with the grassroots level partner. So we have a Selco Foundation who is our grassroots level partner. So the technological interventions done at the center will be field tested with the help of Selco Foundation. So in this first phase of the center, we are in the process of building the equipment setup. So we have various setups on prototype building and fabrication. We have set up regarding the hardware in test loop, that is power electronics setup, and we have the support related to outreach and outreach activities. So the center is committed to this SDG, that is Sustainable Development Goal number 7, and this center, which is affordable and clean energy, and which is also linked with other sustainable development goals. Currently, the current activities at the center is, of course, these three talks. I think my presentation is coming up now. So this is a 7th talk in the series, which is we call as a treat series, which is the tech talks on renewables, empowering Earth and sustainability. So we had talks regarding poverty, sustainability, and technology. Talk on the national biofuel policy, as well as functional nanomaterials, wind energy digitalization, ocean energy, and 6th talk was on high performance cooling techniques for data centers. Today we have Dr. V.S. Prakash. He will be talking on Earth Day, waters and crops. So I welcome Dr. Prakash for the GCOE talk series, trees. We also have the invitation for problem statements. This is an outreach activity where we are asking community to give a problem statements at the ground level so that we can start innovating on these problem statements. And also, if someone has a solution readily available along with the problem statement, they can participate in catalyzed take, where we are going to support the solution ideas, these are innovative ideas, with certain seed fund at IIT Dharwad. So briefly, these are the activities going on. We have a lot of facilities available at the center. So I welcome you to participate to the center's activity. You can look at IIT Dharwad website for the center's on the website. So thank you, sir, for this short time, and sorry for the inconvenience. Over to you, Mutkavi, sir.
Okay. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Professor Dheeraj, for the introduction about the center. It's now my pleasure to introduce my long-term friend, Dr. V.S. Prakash. I think we have known each other for more than 20 years now. And we still continue to keep our friendship regardless of our many interesting, irritating things that happen between us. It doesn't matter. But on the lighter side, to introduce Dr. Prakash, I would probably best say that he's the man of water. And I think water has been close to his heart for a very, very long time. It might be surprising for many of you to know that the Karnataka is the second driest state in the country. Okay. And I think it was important that a man like Dr. Prakash came to Karnataka uh, and left his job in the central government and actually joined the state government, which actually is normally the reverse of what happens. But that is a blessing for Karnataka state, because then he took up the task of setting up close to 8,000 or more uh, automatic rain gauge stations in the Karnataka, throughout the Karnataka. Uh, there is still this day, there's nothing that remains matched in the country. None of the states have actually followed that route, and it was done at the most cost-effective manner. The entire technology was developed within, in fact, almost like within his house, I would say. Uh, and then he also set up more than 1,500 or more automated weather stations. Uh, Having actually done all this, then he has been man of data afterwards. So man of water to man of data, because then the automatically gathering the data and disseminating the information to the farming community, setting up a call center where you answer all the farmers questions. It was amazing to see that in action when I first went to a center which actually he created and made it happen. And that center was Karnataka State Disaster Monitoring Center. Uh, and that center actually today still continues to play a critical role in terms of being able to give the information to the farming community. Uh, since I was talking about him as a man of water, he has, of course, very deep knowledge of the water resources in the country as well as in the Karnataka state. Uh, in fact, he can give out numbers. How much is the water level in this reservoir, that reservoir? Just try to ask him. Okay, he keeps track of it on almost on a daily basis, which is quite phenomenal. Um, so while he set up the KSN DMC and also acted as director for a long term, founding director as well as there for quite some time, he was also registrar at IIT Bangalore, and at IIT Dharwad was associated with that one. More importantly, he was a key member in the panel of experts or the experts committee for cloud seeding exercise, which actually Karnataka was the first state to carry out that one. And in the last but one cloud seeding exercise, he came up with some very novel ideas as to how effective you can do the cloud seeding. I can still imagine the kind of matrix he was developing, uh, where actually the cloud seeding was actually connected to the soil moisture. So the point was, don't do randomized cloud seeding, but do it as per what the situation on the ground is. And I think that seed of thought he has carried further. So today, what he's talking about, like the water and crops, uh, clearly relates to that idea of technology that actually should touch the ground literally, in the sense that I need to actually understand what is happening in the ground before I apply technology, and that has been his key driver in his work all along. Very pragmatic approach, and I have had this interaction with him for a long time. And every time you meet him, he will talk about water and only water, nothing else but water. And today he's just adding one more element to that, that is the crops. So we would like to hear your thoughts, Dr. Prakash, as to what you have in mind on this Earth Day, because sustainability is an important issue for us as we go forward. What we leave for our children is more important today than ever before, considering the kind of resource misuse or abuse we do today, and how we can actually provide sustainable solutions and bring technology to the ground. So it will be wonderful to hear from you. I invite you to present your talk. You have about say about 45 minutes, and then we can have question and answers. And I would invite the participants to post their questions also in the chat box, or in the message box, so that we can take it up. Thank you, and welcome, Dr. Prakash.
You have to unmute, sir.
You have to unmute your this thing, unmute, and
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
Share.
yeah.
share your this
Thank
one
you,
screen.
Dr. Mutkavi, for the introduction, and you have taken me back my memory for the last 2 decades. And yes, that's really memory is always good. And at the same time, I feel really happy to be with Triple IT Dharwad, and myself, Dr. Vidya Mukhi, were planning it for some time. And now it has been made possible online. No, but you're making it to be a offline. So, but anyway, it's good. So I will take just 45 minutes plus or minus 1 or 2 minutes, 5 minutes to just go through some of the thoughts, stray thoughts. It may not be well in the form of a definition, things like that. It was all thoughts which I put it in a basket and would like to share with you. I'm going to my screen sharing, your entire screen, and I'm planning it here. I'm sharing it, uh, and now, can you see my screen?
Yes,
Yes,
we
sir.
can.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
you
I'm
can
going
go
to
to
full
full screen,
screen.
and then we can start your
Yeah.
talk. Yeah, sure.
So today,
Sir,
Yes.
click that hide button, sir.
Professor Dheeraj, when he called me and further discussion with Dr. Mutkavi, Earth Day, I said, yes, certainly, stray thoughts which are in my mind, which I would like to share about the weather, the water, and crop. When we say Earth, these things, three things, it just simply comes in front of anybody, the weather, the water, and crops. So, what exactly the present status and what is needed? A small, insight into these issues I would like to share with you. Well, at the same time, in the center of the picture, you see that we see the hydrologic cycle where we have the crops, we have got the surface water bodies, we have the groundwater, the geology, all precipitation and transpiration, condensation, evaporation, the infiltration to the groundwater, overland flow. So all these things, we really have we need to have insight into these things when we talk about sustainability and understanding the earth and sustainable development, things like that. And when we say, just take the weather for instance, well, we say rain, cloudiness, humidity, temperature, wind speed, wind direction. As Dr. Mutkavi was, talking about, so way back, we had something like about 200 rain gauge stations in Karnataka, 200 to 30, something like that. Well, it was 1998 when we said that we need to have much more, uh, many more. Each Gram Panchayat need to have one station. So it took some time for us to convince the people in the governance, policy makers. It really took like a salesman running around, and it happened anyway. So weather is different in different parts of the geographic location. When I say it's not the world, within Karnataka, no, it's geographic location. You just shift your location from one point to another, let long, maybe within the village or adjoining villages or adjoining gram panchayats. So weather do change. We know about it. We have got the gadgets, weather gadgets. When you look at it, it is really glaring. This difference in the weather difference. Very high spatial and temporal variations is characteristic of the weather. The coefficient of variation of rainfall can be of the order of more than 500%. People do talk about coefficient of variation. They talk about coefficient of variation of annual rainfall and say that it is 30%, 35%, 40%. But for many planning purposes and for activities related to day-to-day activities in the field related to agriculture, water resources management, things like that, it is the variability, of rainfall of a particular storm, daily rainfall. Within the daily rainfall, the rainfall which do occur in couple of hours. If you just look at it, it comes to more than 500% compared to 30-40%, which is coefficient variation for the annual rainfall. This needs to be kept in mind. This needs to be kept in mind. Rainfall variation observed, for example, in two adjoining villages. I can share the screen, I think. It was one village is 2 millimeter, the adjoining village, which is just about 2 kilometers, 2.5 kilometers, rainfall 80 millimeter. There is the variability of rainfall. Just keep in this the weather, unless we have the clarity of weather. So really they having a clarity on the cropping system, crop management, water resources, its assessment, development, management, it became a critical issue. It is more of approximation rather than you know. So water is a critical input. We needless to say, and now irrigated agriculture represents 20% of the total cultivated land and contribute 40% of the total food produced worldwide. So these are some of the strategies. Today, I was just listening to the Secretary of Water Resources. So he was just mentioning about that the agriculture sector takes away 81% of water available in the country. 81% of water goes for agriculture purpose. And also some of the statistics, in 1960-61, 1960-61, the area irrigated by borewell or tube well or groundwater was just 1% of the total irrigated area. 1%. And in 2006-7, almost about 15 years back, it was 60% total irrigated area, 60% irrigation was by groundwater. This is 2006-7. Now it must be really 70%. So 70% of the irrigated area is groundwater, and there are 27 million borewells, and which comes to nearly about 30 borewells per square kilometer. So irrigated agriculture on average at least twice as productive per unit of land as rainfed agriculture, thereby allowing more production intensification and crop diversification. All the more, the irrigated agriculture needs to be much more understood in clarity. There's need to have a better insight into the irrigated agricultural land because it is more productive, more input, more risk, and all the related issues. So, needless to say that due to population growth, urbanization, climate change, competition for water resources has increased and expected to increase with a particular impact on agriculture. So population is expected to increase by 10 billion by 2050, and accordingly, the demand on water is also expected to go up. It is estimated that agricultural production will need to expand by approximately 70% by 2050. Just compare the present situation and expansion by another 70%. It really adds complexity to the already prevailing complex situation. However, future demand on water by all sectors will require as much as 20 to 25 to 40% water to be reallocated from lower to higher productivity and employment activities, particularly in water-stressed regions. So we need to really keep this in mind. In most cases, such reallocation is expected to come from agriculture due to its high share of water use. Currently, agriculture accounts on average 70% of all freshwater withdrawals globally. As I said, it is 81%, as you could able to hear, and an even higher share of consumptive use due to evapotranspiration of crops. The movement of water will need to be both physical and virtual. When we say physical, physically I use it. So when we talk about the virtual water now, what is grown in my land, in my village, my taluka, my obli, it goes to some other districts in the country, maybe exported to some other countries, or which goes on the dining table of some other countries. There's the virtual water trading. Virtual water is another aspect which really to be taken into account. Maybe example, the water-starved areas, drought prone areas, they grow vegetables and it's sent to the humid regions, subhumid regions of the same state or other states. Whereas when the question of drawing water, diverting water from the excess water from the humid, subhumid region where the rainfall is more than 3,000 millimeter, there is a social unrest. So just one side, virtual trading is encouraged. Other way around is still we have got a lot of social issues, socio-economic issues. Intersectoral water reallocation and significant shifts of water away from agriculture will also need to be accompanied by improvements in water use efficiency and improvements in water delivery systems. When we talk about water use efficiency, irrigation efficiency, over the last 3 decades, it has yet to see a significant improvement. Even today, it's very common. Overall, it is about 40%, 45%, things like that. So something all said and done with all the interventions, so much of programs and water use efficiency, irrigation efficiency still is very low. Is a matter of very great concern to us. Improving the efficiency of water use in agriculture will also depend on matching of improvements main system off-farm with appropriate incentives for on-farm investments aiming to improve soil and waste water management. So here, these resolving the challenges of the future requires a thorough reconsideration of how water is managed in the agriculture sector and how it can be repositioned in the broader context of overall water resources management and water security. Moreover, irrigation and drainage schemes, whether large or small, represent prominent, spatially dispersed public works in the rural spaces. Thereby, they represent a logical vehicle for mobilizing employment opportunities to communities. Another thing to be kept in mind, very, very important thing, water is a state subject. Again, the state subject, the local bodies, they manage the water. The governance of water is with the local bodies, which are really yet to understand and get an insight into issues related to water, not only supply side management, demand side management. A lot needs to be done, and especially at the panchayat level or taluka level or district level, still, the supply side management is very glamorous one. And the demand side management, to my opinion, it has not got the importance or which it deserves. So, practical challenges of water and agriculture, some of it we have already discussed, and you know, eh, the ability to improve water management agriculture is typically constrained by inadequate policies, major institutional underperformance, and financing limitations. Sometimes we really carried away by the numbers which are talked about, say 3,000 crores, 6,000 crores, 15,000 crores, 1,600 crores. Well, at the end of the day, when looking back, the problems do continue to remain. So something we need to really seriously think about it. Critical public-private institutions encompassing agricultural and water ministries, basin authorities, irrigation agencies, water users, and farmer organizations generally lack the enabling environment and necessary capacities to effectively carry out their functions. This already I said it, the state subject that too, that's the bottom level. These are very tertiary level administration need to handle the issues related to water. Though the big policy plans come from the top or the bottom, and understanding it in its real meaning and implementing it is one of the big issue. For example, basin authorities often hold limited ability to enforce water allocations and to convince stakeholders. Institutions charged with developing irrigation often limit themselves to capital intensive large scale schemes and tend to rely on public sector based approaches rather than developing opportunities for small scale private financing and irrigation management. This is very, very important. We need to think about it, and there is a realization in almost all the sphere of water sector. Farmers and their organizations are also often responding to highly distorted incentive frameworks in terms of water pricing and agriculture support policies, which further hinder positive developments in the sector. Moreover, most governments and water users fail to invest adequately in the maintenance of irrigation and drainage systems. So here, the build, neglect, rehabilitate, neglect cycle persists and seems to continue. The build, neglect, rehabilitate, neglect. This cycle is going on, and well, we need to break this cycle. Given the existing constraints above, the agricultural water management sector is currently in the process of repositioning itself towards modern and sustainable service provision. It proposes a singular water approach on building resilient water services and sustaining water resources, while also managing risks related to broader social and economic water related impacts. This can be achieved by providing improved incentives for innovation, reforms, and accountability. Here, the academic institutions, the research bodies, the private sector need to be recognized as a stakeholder in this sector, water sector. So, needless to say that we have got a drought is a big issue, and there are many states as Dr. Mutkavi rightly said, Karnataka is second only to Rajasthan in the country as far as the frequency of drought, intensity of drought is concerned. So this has resulted in successive droughts. Uh, the Karnataka state and other drought-prone areas of the country, as over the last 2 decades, has brought in a lot of changes, not in the hydrological regime, in the irrigation sector, lot of issues, challenges, and because even the Malnad and coastal area were also not spared. We all remember what happened a couple of years back, and even some of the pilgrim centers, for example, Dharmasthala, a plea was made the, to the people, pilgrims, please don't come, we don't have water. And again, in Udupi, they made a plea, please don't come, we don't have water. Again, in Tumkur, there is mud, a big mud. They say, please don't come, we don't have water. So, please, there is a big lesson which nobody expected, If in a Malnad area, such a place where thousands and lakhs of pilgrims they go every year, throughout the year, and they're making a plea, we don't have water, please don't come. Did we really expect it to happen? No, I said, to me, no, never, 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 never. I never expect it to happen that they will make a plea, not to the pilgrim saying, please don't come, we don't have water. Scarcity and need are driving innovative and positive action. It is driving. So we see around the indicators of the water index have been grouped into 9 broad themes: source augmentation and restoration of water bodies, which is a very glamorous one. Lot of money goes into this. Finally, evaluation, what comes out of it. Really, we are grabbing water from one place and putting in another place. We are really creating imbalance in the entire ecosystem, hydrological system is yet to be seen. In my opinion, source augmentation and restoration of water bodies is converting blue water to green water. Whatever blue water we physically is available over a large area, you just put it into some ponds, things like that, and the operation, because semi-arid areas, we all know that it is more than something like 5, 6, 7.5 millimeter per day. They're converting blue water to green water. Source augmentation is again one thing. A lot of work is going on. People do talk about it. There are many, many yojanas, projects. I don't want to name that. There are more than there are many number of projects. But really, what is happening? If there is a augmentation in groundwater, why still the water table is depleting? Why thousands of wells are getting dried up? Why it is a risky proposition a farmer to really have a sustainable supply from a borewell? Anyway, there's a question mark. Major and medium irrigation. It is supply side management again. Major and medium. Rejuvenation of lakes, connecting one lake to another lake, connecting a river, pumping water from the river to the lakes. So these are all the supply side management is all going on. There are benefits, certainly, but overall, evaluation will be very, very interesting. Needs to be done. Watershed development, again, is supply side management. Again, I don't want to say much because, in my opinion, it is a good concept, but otherwise, practically, are we grabbing water? There is the issue which really, it's also, we say conserving water, but at the same time, the water which was, which was really used in some other part of the same watershed, in the basin, water basin, the sub basin, what we call it as. The watershed is a 5 square kilometer area. If we take a small watershed, basin of 30 square kilometer, are we grabbing, I should not use the word robbing, grabbing water which is meant to someone else? And, say there's one thing, supply side management is very glamorous. Participatory irrigation practices, it is a demand side management. What is the success? How much we have succeeded in participatory irrigation practice? Clearly, it is more on paper, less on field. Why? Sustainable on-farm water use practices. Again, it is the demand side management. Really, do we find much thing happening in this demand side management? Because I say we are yet to see it happen in a bigger scale. Again, demand side management is non-glamorous. Hardly any funds goes to that. Hardly people are interested in that. So these are the things which really need to a thorough discussion. Rural drinking water. Again, today also newspaper I saw a group of people, village in around Bangalore. They are making a protest. We are not getting water once in 20 days. Still, rural drinking water, even in the villages, urban, rural area is an issue even today, even after 4 or 5 decades of so much of intervention. Urban water supply and sanitation, yes, again, sewage treatment, and we are talking about reuse, recycle, things like that. There are many, many issues. And we have read that, the microplastic has gone into water. Microplastic is found in the human blood. So there are many issues. Policy and governance is one thing which has undergone a paradigm shift. When we talk about this, the water, agriculture, on this day, Earth Day. So one thing is the rainfall, the soil moisture, the runoff, evaporation, evapotranspiration, the groundwater, what is the recharge, what is the extraction. Right now, it is just taking a big canvas and just look at it. Most of these things, most of them are assessed empirically. Because right now, even the lake development works, we do get the detailed project reports for rejuvenation of lakes. Detailed project reports, some show lags, some project proposals, DPRs going up to 18 crores, 20 crores, something like that. But for the overland flow, inflow into the tank, whatever empirical method they use, which were taught by Britishers before we got the independence, are still continue to be used by uh, by the policy makers or the people who implement it. Whereas the tank has remained dry largely over the last 2 decades, 2.5, 3 decades, even today, every year, the DPR shows huge inflow into the tank. They use Stranger's formula and they select a curve of their convenience and they say there's a huge inflow. Do we find any academic body saying that, well, this is not correct? So what the question is, when we field practitioners sit together and discuss, everybody in the discussion finally says that there are research bodies, academic bodies, still they hold it good. So when it is in the nation level, all the apex bodies, when they say this formula, Strange's formula is good, and we are using it, and debating on that is no point. There's no point in debating that. We continue to use. So continue to use Strange's formula, then huge inflow, huge inflow, make up this tank rejuvenation, tank will continue to be dry. So somewhere, example I'm giving, rainfall, do we have adequate, rain gauges to monitor soil moisture, how much soil moisture we measure? Is it adequate? Runoff, evaporation, evapotranspiration, the groundwater. So things which are not measured properly cannot be managed. So are we measuring properly? If we are not measuring properly, we are not managing properly also. So here, just this is left picture is from the Udaipur museum. In those days, the Maharaja's days, they had such a monitoring system depending upon the various parameters which are shown there, atmospheric pressure, things like humidity. They used to get some sort of forecasting whether it's going to rain or not. Even in the Korea, they have almost rain monitoring system in every land parcel. Every land parcel, they do measure rainfall. Why do they measure? Why do they measure? They feel it is necessary. Then why not we? So anyway, this is Dr. Mutkavi has spoken about it. This tipping bucket, GPS enabled solar power tipping bucket. We're able to design, develop in-house, and so this is basically principle. Data is is measured and transmitted or real time, near real time to the central server, and how much it has rained, where it has rained. On this picture of up to the resolution of Gram Panchayat, we made it available. So it's sensing the precursor, transmission of raw data, alert recognition, dissemination, help desk, and dovetail with the JS map. We can show how much it has rained, when it has rained, what is the aerial extent, spatial distribution of any heavy rainfall, no rainfall, moderate rainfall, things like that. And now this picture is a little bit interesting. There are two pictures generated by two agencies, one e-governance versus e-governance, government versus government. So one agency which has developed a rainfall map for a certain period, it puts Karnataka entirely in a green color, which is it's a normal rainfall. It's a normal rainfall. Whereas with high density network, when we look at it, the right side, here, you can see these are all red color every, these are all the scanty rainfall, below normal rainfall, deficit rainfall here. So this is what I mean is thing which is not measured properly, cannot be managed. So then the question is, which is wrong, which is right? Both are we can't say because whatever density of network they produce the map, it shows green color. So it is a problem of density of network. I have got this is the density at which I'm monitoring. This is my perception. This is my insight. Well, the right one is well, this is the density of network. This is my perception. This is my insight. Other can we if we increase from 8,000 20,000, maybe perception may be much more different. So here, getting the insight will lead us to better management. See, for example, here, for example, one taluka earlier, 2 decades back, 2.5 decades back, uh, only one rain gauge in taluka. Entire taluka was classified under deficit category, rainfall deficit. When we put a rain gauge in all the six hoblies, so we instead of one red color, we get four colors: excess, normal, deficit, large deficit, scanty, and otherwise first one is then if we when we go to rain gauges in every gram panchayat, the red color which was occupying the entire taluka is confined to small part of that hobli. So then when I go to anybody with the right side picture, they sit with you, they discuss with you. As long as I was going with the first picture, fully red color, nobody was even bothering to talk to me or listen to me. So in hailstorm, for example, I show because with this high density network, you can see that here, the extent at which this hailstorm damages taken place. So this high resolution inferences was possible. Now, earlier we did talk about the impact of the hydrological regime when we look at the flows, the river flows, major river flows, from 1970 onwards, even as on today. If you take the 5-year moving average, see this is for the Yamavati, it was about 60,482 million cubic feet. Now the 5-year moving average 26,000 says 27,000. That means the annual flow has reduced one third what it used to be, say 40, 50 years back. Over the 4 to 5 decades, the river, the regime, meteorological regime has undergone a big transformation. But still, many times I do hear, if I may be wrong, but what I hear is they still take the figures of 1970s and say this is the water potential available in the state, in the country as a whole. But in reality, the 5-year moving average says it has come down by one third what it was. So, result, this is what the field we see, the horticulture crops, no, it was unthinkable, a complete drying up, wilting, and seasonal crops drying up. All the tanks are dry. bore wells, I mean, all the dug wells, hardly find dug wells with water. Tanks are dry, water problem, and drinking water problem, and the drinking water supply. So new sources are created, pipelines are drawn, and within a couple of years, so that well or source goes dry, and again one more bore well, one more source is located. In almost all the villages, it's digging, laying pipeline, digging, laying pipeline. It is a continuous process. So where is the end? What is the solution to this? We need to really go to farmers. We need to learn many things from them. It's not that we know many things, they know equally the problem, perception, things like that. Just really go and discuss with them and really understand the soil moisture. Another thing, soil moisture is very, very important. And now what we do is, if a farmer has half an acre or 3 acre, 2 acre, 5 acre, sample is collected, it's coning and pottery. The coning and quartering, one sample is taken. With one sample, you just measure the NPK or macronutrients, and decide what is the these nutrients to be provided to the farm, to the soil. So, but is it enough? Is it enough? Is it true? It is representative? Is the question. But we can use really that now we have the technology. We can use satellite data for periodic monitoring, and with a limited ground truthing, this can be of great use. And we have just tried to attempt it. This is one picture which Dr. Mutkavi was talking about. We did observe soil moisture changes, soil moisture, and root zone soil moisture, and we were doing crowd seeding and pickup areas where the soil moisture distress is there, so that at least there will be some respite. This is one example I'm giving you, just where the soil moisture is monitored using satellite data product, satellite data product. This left side you can see the land parcel, 1.1.5 acre land parcel. You can see the soil moisture variability within that 1.5 acre. There are blue, which are really, it is up to the field capacity. There are, green color is okay, quite normal, about almost 60-70% of the, optimum water holding capacity. The yellow color is almost nearly 50%, and red color is 30%. I mean, it is a deficit, soil moisture deficit. This could be the variation. In 1 acre, there are 40 guntas. People use different languages. So 1 acre is about 41,000 square feet, something like that. And it is divided by 40. So it is almost about 10 meter by 10 meter. This each grid, you can see how much change is there in the soil moisture. This is really by satellite image we have put. And the last one here, the top left, is the crop is harvested. Still one grid is blue because he has maintained it. Now making a small, water storage for the livestock to drink. See, you can see that one grid still the water is there, which he uses for. He was growing potato while looking at this soil moisture variability within his land. See, from the bottom as we go top, he could able to really manage for equitable application of irrigation water, thereby reducing the insecticide pesticide problem and also enhancing the production productivity. So this is the app, Sat2Farm app, which gives weather forecast for 14 days and water-related issues, irrigation advisory, monitoring yield of bore wells, tube wells at land parcel level. There is half an acre, 1 acre at a land parcel level, monitoring water spread area in and around surface water bodies. There are maybe 2-3 tanks or lakes around, and the bore well in this area, at least in Kolar, Chikballapur, Chitradurga, things like that. And the water storage in the tanks for surface water body comes down, the bore well also goes down. So farmers can know, depending upon the water availability of the tank, what could be the yield from their bore well in the coming couple of weeks or in the next month. So regarding the crops, soil moisture at 20 meter resolution, as I told you, assessment monitoring of crop health with NDVA and RVA at the resolution of 10 to 20 meter. So the NDVA going down, it gives a proactive signal that there is a problem. It could be a nutrient problem, it could be soil moisture problem, it could be insect and pest problem. Just focusing on those grids, you just prognosis and address the issue, make some intervention, and so in time you can. And also using the satellite data product, you have developed an algorithm. Algorithms have been developed where you can find the NPK for that for land parcel at a 20-meter resolution. So, for example, every gunta, every alternate guntas, every 2 guntas or 4 guntas, you can know the NPK. Wherever N is not required, no need to apply the N. Where phosphorus is good, no need. But what is happening is we all know that we are aware of it, and there are many observations made. Indiscriminate use of fertilizers, has resulted in pollution of the water bodies, and water. So we have observed it. So we need to optimize this. There is a scope for, and it is doable. Optimizing application of NPK. Then that also it provides crop health monitoring system. About if you put a mosaic of what was the last 8 weeks, soil moisture, crop health, things like that. How it has responded to any intervention. So I have applied fertilizer, I've done something in that grid where the crop has improved, soil moisture is equitable, more number of grids are having green color. These things can be. So in our, about 15,000 farmers are using it. That what we get a feedback from them is 20 to 40% reduction in water applied for irrigation. That is saving of 20 to 40% water, which just to my wisdom and knowledge, any other intervention is difficult to save 20-40% or add 20-40% of additional water into the system. And people say that 25% what they used to spend on NPK and other manure, things like that, they are able to save nearly 25%. The data generated, certainly what we talk about smart agriculture, precision agriculture, digital agriculture, it paves the way for really taking it forward. At least in about 3 to 5 years, we should be able to, to take up this digital agriculture and provide the required information to the farmers. These are the two pictures, two adjoining land parcels, half acre, two adjoining. You can see the soil moisture variation within that particular land parcel and compare with adjoining. Soil moisture variability can be so spatially, can be so significant. So understanding it, getting insight, and accordingly now practicing the interventions is very runoff. As I said, most of it is Chase's formula, English formula, Stange's formula. We are yet to hear otherwise SCS curve method, and with a limit, just when you just take the actual flow measurement and just see what we are doing, you find it is a huge variation. And at least I have done that, at least in SCS curve method, it gives some value, but the real measurement, it is zero. Many of the time there is no runoff at all. Maximum is at 12%, but still many of the project proposal runoff is taken as 15%, 20%, 30%. Many cases we do observe runoff being 30% of rainfall. There is a rainfall runoff coefficient. So there is the need. This is one example of the gauging station. I don't want to give in detail. You can see this is a gauging station, and what we can expect. No? And this is a sensor, through satellite, sensor. But sensor is not touching the water at all in the river. So what data gets gathered, probably is, surface water bodies, how much storage is there. This can be done, but are we comfortable? Are we happy with the evaporation, evapotranspiration losses? How many pan evaporimeters we have? And again, the interpolation. It again interpolation, evaporation, evapotranspiration, really. And pan evaporimeters, about 30 stations in the entire Karnataka state, with 2 lakh square kilometer. Is it enough? Government recharge and extraction is, well, the problem is so much, and whatever monitoring is being done with the scanty data, whatever modeling we do is not of much use to us. Need to really enhance the monitoring system. This is one example, which appeared in the newspaper, and the DC of Chitradurga has given a statement that in Chitradurga, in 1 acre, they have drilled 50 bore wells. and more than 40 bore wells yielding 2 to 3 inches of water, because they say it won't sustain. It gives water for about, you know, maybe that season or a couple of seasons, then they start drying up, then changing the water table, things like that. Why it is happening? No, can't we say that, this is unsustainable, but it's happening. It is happening. It's a very latest one. Yeah. So now here, what we say is, when we talk about the groundwater, we have the Q, the amount of water which is coming out, which may not be, it certainly is not constant. As you go on pumping, the yield goes down within a day or during the year, pre-monsoon, post-monsoon, things like that, depending upon the drought situation, the power consumption, the, the voltage, the Q, and the drawdown, pumping static water well. As we keep on pumping, the water level, the cone of depression goes on, deepening. And these ideas are very much required to understand the well capacity, aquifer capacity, planning, distance between two bore wells, optimizing it, things like that. So probably, in my opinion, a lot more needs to be done. As a passion, we had developed a sensor, and probably at the end of the day, we should be able to. There are something like, I was telling, there is 27 million bore wells, and probably Karnataka also has millions of bore wells. If it's prognostically, if we're able to say these are the red color, which are going to die, maybe it's going to die in about 3 months or 4 months, something like that. I will classify them into different health categories, things like that. It is needed, and we need to have a system for that. And right now, in the water policy in 2019, Karnataka had constituted a committee. I was a member of the committee. I strongly, advocated the need for a sensor to monitor the water level, the Q pumping, how much quantity is pumped, things like that. A small beginning has been made. I learned from Mysore division. It needs to really catch up. Another thing is, we see talk about water conservation measures like this. We do feel that all the problems are solved. The mulching and reducing operation losses, things like that. Polyhouses. Well, here with all these things, for example, in our own Karnataka state, there are a lot of many districts which are overexploited. So here, stage of ground development is very given. Given, there are many districts. At least, can we really take up this red color, which are about 780 numbers, 8 districts? Can we really focus on that? Start doing something. This is the horticulture's drip irrigation is made. It is presumed that once I made the drip irrigation, water conservation, all the problems solved. It's not so. Here you see here, without intervention, with intervention, what has happened? If you see stage of ground development, without the drip irrigation, everything was 524%. With all these interventions, still it is 294, say 300%. Still it is very risky. 300% stage of ground development is not sustainable. Whatever interventions we have made is going to be a temporary one. It is all unsustainable. Then what is the way forward? We need to really. So there are issues, physical scarcity, economic scarcity, groundwater depletion, food deficit, increasing water productivity is very low at present. Water productivity is very low. Seawater increase, water pollution, spatial variation in water supply and demand. Scale is another question. And we need to have a point to charge, point draft map for groundwater. So I used to do it way back in 1982, 84. Wherever I did work, I used to bring out point draft, point discharge map. So again, there are many water footprint. Are we aware of the water footprint? I am growing tomato. I am growing many crops. What are the water footprint of each crops which are grown in different forms? Probably encourage the people who are whose water footprint is very, very reasonable, and make the others to learn from those farmers. Drip irrigation may not be the panacea. There are many more things to be done. So monitoring of community water supply schemes, concept, well card concept need to be brought out. As I told you, the drawdown, the queue, and static water level. Probably this need to go into the well card, a digital well card, just like Aadhaar, PAN card. So this concept need to be very seriously thought about it. So assessing well efficiency, aquifer efficiency, pump efficiency, conveyance efficiency, irrigation efficiency, and incentives to higher efficiency. protecting, assuring safe, sustainable drinking water supply to villages, towns, humans, and livestock. So with this data, we need to really think about data analytics, descriptive analytics, inquisitive analytics, predictive analytics, prescriptive analytics, preemptive analytics. In the sector of the weather, the water, and crop, we need to really seriously think about if now the question is it going to correct all the problems? No. As I said, think this is not measured properly. If you measure properly, certainly we will be able to get better insight. Good data set will help me in good data analytics, which will give me a tool for these things, descriptive, predictive, prescriptive, preemptive, inquisitive analytics. So right now, what is required by the community, a small part of the community may be able to get some sort of assistance, but a large community still. So there is a need to move from empirical, theoretical data analytics, digital, and good data, not using few scanty data and claiming that I've done data analytics. So we need to understand, just like a doctor, he has so many people and whose pulse he doesn't know the pulse, and well, we may prescribe the medicine. What is the use? Probably we need to really understand the pulse of the what we the subjects we are talking about, and really, best way what we can help the. But there are glamorous way of doing it, and this we need to bring glamour to demand side management also, and whatever we are doing it, because people are very skeptical because they have seen the past many things done and which is of no use. They think that whenever we go with the new ideas, this is also going to be of no use. No, probably we need to build up confidence in that. We all need to be a salesman of science to bring these things. We need to move from equality to equity. So this is possible when the data speaks. We need to really move together and getting better insights, collaborate and converge. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. I think this is my last slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Prakash. Thank you very much for your talk. There are many things you have touched, and maybe we can take a few questions now. Is that all right?
Sure.
Yeah,
Yes,
there are a couple of them posted in the chat box. Let me read out. First one is from Professor Patil. Is the borewell water good to retain the nutrients in the soil? Or river or irrigated water would be preferred? He's asking whether, plants prefer the irrigated water, the river water or the borewell water.
Again, giving a general answer may not be appropriate, because again there are nowadays the things have changed. The quality of the water does matter. What the quality of the borewell water. Last 2 weeks back, I'd gone to a village in Anikal Taluk. It is on the border of Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. So the borewell water is giving a two quarter-inch pipe, full water. It is about 3.5 LPS, liter per second, but it highly saline. Why? What is the reason? There is a very famous industry nearby. They are polluting the entire water system. I don't want to name the. It will be out of place. A famous personality at a national level, he or she, makes the policy, plans, things like that. But when it comes to such things, the farmers openly say, so after the industry ಬಂದ್ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಗೆ ನೀರೆಲ್ಲ ಉಪ್ಪಾಗೋಯ್ತು ಸರ್. So ಅದನ್ನ ನಾವು suppose if I say it is good for irrigating the land, that really, is maybe there are other things, for fetching. So probably we need to consider the soil health. What are the macro micronutrients? What is the quality of borewell water? What is the quality of surface water is available there? And this is generalized statement holds no more good. Probably we have done enough with the general understanding and general prescription.
Okay, so let's go to the next question. Two questions from Professor Seshu. One is based on the map you showed. If you can put it up, maybe possible. This is the drought map, country-wise. And
Yeah,
what is asking is the map showed coastal Andhra region as drought prone, but it is blessed with Krishna and Godavari rivers. So I think the question is how can it be drought prone?
oh,
In your one of the maps you had showed,
oh,
yeah.
maybe Dr. Seshu, if he has observed it, then I need to look at it and this part,
Yes,
this
that's
part.
right. That is right.
Okay, okay. This is given by Government of India, and they have taken the overall blessed with Godavari, Krishna, and all. Still, they have taken the rainfall. There are dry spells. There are guidelines for declaring drought. It's the rainfall. It's not the hydrological drought, meteorological drought, agricultural drought, and these dry spells do matter. Considering all these things, in even in it's surprising in Karnataka, the Malnad area coastal, which we are talking about, had a severe drought. I was mentioning about it just 2 years back. No, the Western Ghats, I was just sharing with you. Malnad area, the pilgrimage, please don't come. They've got a severe water scarcity, and Arekak. Now it is very common in the Western Ghat area to see people feeding the Areca plantation with groundwater, or they collect the rainwater, make a pit and pump it and irrigate the Areca. Without irrigation, they're finding it very difficult to get a good production from the Areca nut. Areca nut is a very commercial crop in that area. These are happening as per the guidelines. Krishna River is there, it flows, but as given the example of Yamavati, it is one third of what it was 40, 50 years back. These factors also need to be kept in mind. More than that, I will certainly, we can discuss about it.
Okay, so the second question from Professor Seshu is, it is said that the Lankan crisis is partly due to organic farming. Any comment from your side?
Which one?
The Lankan crisis, Sri Lankan crisis,
Oh, yes.
is
No,
due
it is.
to
Yes,
organic farming.
yes. What we say, natural farming, organic farming, is such a after the green revolution, productivity, general, it is accepted that, unless you pour fertilizers, NPK, this you can't get the desired productivity, things like that. So farmers are competing with each other. So that's why one of the slides I just showed that we need to bring awareness. What is required? Already if the soil has got enough of particular micronutrient, macronutrient, bring a sense, please don't use that. Don't There is no need. It won't help in increasing the production productivity. We have to really bring that clarity in the minds of the farming community, and it could be a, a now there are scientific papers published that in the indiscriminate use of fertilizers is causing a lot of environmental damages, including the groundwater getting saline polluted and the surface water bodies getting polluted. But beside that, yes, Sri Lanka, they were a bit hasty in taking a decision, and their economy is crumbling down, agriculture economy. So that's where we here in India, we do speak about organic farm, natural farming. There are some incentive being provided. There are few groups who are propagating organic farming, natural farming. In the city, urban areas also, it is a premium. The price is premium. It is a brinjal, organic farming brinjal. Is sold at a premium value. Milk, organic milk, is sold at a premium value. But there are, yes, in Sri Lanka, yes, they were. I can only say uh, without adequate planning, preparedness, they jumped into that decision.
Now let's move to the
Yeah.
next question. Can desalinated water be used for agriculture? Is it being attempted? This is a question from Professor Patil.
No,
Can
desalinization is one part, but the what I mean is, desalination normally is used for using the seawater for various purposes, domestic, non-domestic, things like that. So certainly, no, in many countries like Israel, it is inevitable, and they are doing it. What is for me, what really bothers me is, per liter if they spend 4 paise, uh, in our project proposals, it is, it's more than a rupee, or more, at least 40 paise. So 4 paise, 40 paise. Why 10 folds more cost in India? Salinity level is same, saline water, this process is same, methodology, the system is same. So this really, and whatever is going on in the STPs in the urban areas, including Bangalore surrounding areas, is a huge cost. In the Bangalore itself, the Koramangala Chalgata Valley, and also that HN Valley, Hebbal Nagavara Valley, you know, that already 5 to 6,000 crores is spent, and there is about 700 MLD claimed to be treated. But, again, this year budget, 1,600 crores is again sanctioned to rejuvenate already what has been done. So there is, when we talk about desalinization, well, the issue is how economically we can make it viable. So otherwise, spending, at least what is happening in places where desalinization has been taken place in the eastern coastal area, at least I don't know much about it. The economic, the socio-economic impact, I don't know much about it. But certainly I can only say that it is a lot of insight is needed in this reuse of water, desalinization, and reuse, recycling, things like that.
Okay. The next question from Professor Rajshekar Bhatt. How can data analysis help in groundwater recharging and management? Is there any good data source on the same?
No, because I started my career, in groundwater, and the way the groundwater assessment, development, management was being done. And at a national level, the Groundwater Estimation Committee had the privilege of being a member of that committee also. And the way we used to really look at things, collect the data those days, 1974, 1973, I started my career, but I was a lecturer because 74 onwards, I was in the state government, then central government, state government, whatever we used to do. The pump test, transmissivity, storage activity, specific yield, things like the data, in my opinion, in the present situation is redundant. The entire groundwater system, the regime, the present regime, I can't take, the water table used to be just about 4 meter, 4.5 meter. There was water in the dug well. 150 feet borewell was quite enough. There were duckum borewells. So I used to have a phreatic zone or a semi-confined zone parameters, transmissivity, things like that. Now, if you just many parts of the country and many parts of Karnataka, his average is, nearly 500, 600, 800 feet. At least I'm talking about Karnataka. Now, people drill up to 1,800 feet. So how the interconnectivity between the phreatic zones, semi-confined, confined, deeper fractures, how they are interconnected. And there are many views. Some people say the deeper aquifers are no more connected to shallow aquifer, the same area. It has got recharge from far away area. Some people they advocate, they are also science practitioners. They say they get the recharge from Western Ghats, so we need not worry. But when we're in Central Control Board, we constructed a well field now with well packers, conducted the pump test, they are very much interconnected. So when we are tapping such a deeper aquifer, the consequences are, multifold, and probably new learning is required as far as groundwater assessment, development, management is concerned. The data is very, very, very inadequate. That's my opinion. Many may not agree with it, but doesn't matter. I need to express whatever no I mm, um, I feel about it. My opinion, So it's a very bad shape. Water sector, groundwater. The science is not contributing in a very big way to attain sustainability. We need to do a lot more.
Okay, yeah. So next question is from Professor Tembe. What is expected for water flow in Malaprabha River after 10 years in terms of percentage decrease? Because we're talking about a percentage decrease over a number of years.
So it's a Malaprabha again, Mahadayi, Malaprabha area, Malaprabha already the flow, I think the Honorable, well, he knows about it. It is after 10 years. Certainly, it's a matter of concern. I don't think there will be, there are, there are, Madai, they are expecting some water, some 15 TMC water, the 12, the 13, 15 TMC water. So probably, if that happens, maybe there could be, we can expect some, but I don't think it will happen in 10 years. Even in Karnataka, many of the such schemes, at least in parts of Bijapur, at least Dr. Mutkavi myself, a couple of years back, we went to Bijapur. There, they're pumping out water from Krishna and filling up the lake tanks in surrounding areas, and that has changed the, water availability scenario to some extent. But in next 10 years, in my opinion, these none of these schemes are expected to be, see the day of the light, and I don't think much change will be there in 10 years in Malaprabha.
Okay.
Only they should stop growing sugarcane. I don't know whether it is possible. Okay.
There are three more questions. Two from Prashant Revankar. First question is, future wars will be fought for water. What do you think?
If not wars, already it is happening. Fights. There will be more fights.
Fights will be there.
Fights. Because,
Constant fights for the water.
Being the expert witness for Karnataka in interstate water dispute, Krishna, Madai, and really, there will be more fights is certain among the neighbors, among the adjoining farmers, among the adjoining villages, adjoining districts. Certainly, well, in what way the court can help the legal fraternity, I don't know. It's really there certainly is going to be more fight because more and more grabbing is going on. They say conserving water, things like that. But in other words, to my vision, the way I could look at when I look around, unknowingly, people are grabbing each other's water. There were, in my opinion, if you take a watershed, there were donor areas, there were receiving areas, and there were beggar areas. They had no resource of their own. If they give water, it's almost a beggar areas. All the donors have become beggars now. In terms of then what happens to the beggars and receivers? In fact, the Tipunalli, which used to serve, water for the Bangalore city, those days, Kaveri water was not implemented. Esarghatta and Tipunalli reservoir. Tipunalli remains dry now. Most of the time, it used to be full of water. Every year, it used to get filled up. And my childhood days still I remember. But again, demand was low. That is also true. But entire Tipunalli remains dry. Now, I made a study. Entire catchment area, as I told you, I classified it into donor area, beggar areas. I observed that of late, over the last 2 decades, the donors have become beggars. And whatever intervention being made regarding supply side management, we are grabbing somebody's and say, providing, to someone else. Maybe it requires some insights and deeper thinking.
Okay. The second part of the question, second question from same person is, there is a thought of extracting water from atmosphere. How sustainable is this approach?
Yeah, from the moisture available in the air, it is being done. I don't know much about it. I've not thought about it. Certainly, when you take out the moisture, on a very small scale here and there, maybe it's the bearing capacity. I don't know. The entire population start drinking water or cultivating the land through moisture from the air. It's something is unimaginable.
Okay. Last question from Akshaya Tassin. The Karnataka state is facing flood, scarcity of drinking water, and heavy rainfall in the last 3 to 4 years regularly. What would be the major cause? Can you discuss what could be the best water management system for Karnataka?
It is a very deep question which requires deep thinking and wide discussion. Certainly, the question is good and deserves a thinking, deep thinking, deep learning by all of us. That's the only answer I can give.
Okay, so yeah, we ended the talk with the keywords deep learning. Okay, right. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for your insight about water, water management. Variety of things connected with water on this Earth Day. And thank you very much, Dr. Prakash, for accepting our invitation and giving this talk. While would have loved to see you on in person here, maybe next time. So I'll hand it back to Professor Dheeraj Patil for concluding the session. Thank you.
Yeah, before that, I'm happy to see Dr. Seshu in his picture, I can be able to see here. It's a long time since met him. Certainly, I would love to.
Yeah, we should.
Ah,
We would have loved to see you. Namaste,
Namaste.
namaste. How are you?
How are you?
We would have loved to have you in person here.
No,
but
no. We will. I would like to come with Professor Dr. Mutkavi somewhere in May, depending
Sure.
upon
Yeah.
convenience. Certainly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Nice meeting you, talking to you, seeing you. Yes. Thank you very much. I should thank Mutkavi, Dr. Mutkavi.
Yeah.
Last time he said, he has gone to Dharwad. I just had a fight with him. I said, how you have gone without me?
Correct.
See, and then yesterday when he called me, I said, okay. No. Thank you so much.
Dr. Patil, you can conclude the session now.
Yes.
Thank you, sir, for this talk and readily accepting the request for speaking on Earth Day. And thank you to Professor Mutkavi sir also for comparing the talk today and your valuable time. The next couple of minutes I'll take to introduce our catalyzed take. Basically, we are looking at to strengthen the inclusive technological innovation ecosystem in the areas of renewable energy, energy production, usage, and improvements in energy efficiency. At the Global Center of Excellence in Affordable and Clean Energy at IIT Dharwad, we with the Selco Foundation, we are looking for related problem statements, ground level problem statements, and innovative solutions through an innovation challenge, which we call as catalyzed tech. And the problem statements may be from the sectors such as livelihood, agriculture, then allied agricultural industries, resilient micro businesses, built environment, health, education, water, as we are discussing. So there is a form to submit the catalyzed tech problem statements and innovative solutions. So I'm putting that form for the audience in the chat box. So I would request the audience to please, pose a problem statements, and if you have any idea, you please, pose that, and this will be, supported through the center. So thank you again, thank you to Dr. Prakash sir. So thank you for your talk.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.